In the past weeks, I decided to start updating my personal portfolio to showcase my updated skills, since I've not really had the time because of work. One of the images which I chose to work on is this picture of this baby monkey. I chose it because it's captured a beautiful moment where a baby monkey has been distracted by probably a bystander or a tourist while it's chewing, so it's this very cute moment. So the technical goals for this project was quite clear, where I had to get the anatomy and get the hair looking right and the shaders looking right, but most importantly I had to capture the feeling of this image. So in this video basically I'm going to be showing you how I put all of this together. To get started, I use this free tool called PureRef. It allows you to stack in different reference images. So I tried to gather reference images of different angles of monkeys because I could not identify the particular species of this monkey, so it was quite difficult. So what I use, since it's just one angle I'm trying to get for the most part, I try to look for particular sections that I would need to see more details in, like the arms, how it looks, the feet, the profile view of the head, close-ups of the monkey for more details, and just any necessary information that will aid in creating this model very effectively. The process is to go into Blender, use different objects to create a shape that matches that of a monkey, and then I export it into ZBrush, which I use for my sculpting process. You can still achieve most of the stuff I'm doing here using Blender's sculpting tools. This process is just me going in and fine-tuning the different shapes and sculpting. Next, it's time to worry about the proportion and scale of how everything is looking, and I found that it was easier if I had it standing up so I could actually see how everything is coming together, the length of the arm, and how everything is working together. Another purpose of doing this was, at this point I decided that I was going to rig it inside Blender rather than ZBrush, since rigging it the traditional way will allow me to really pose it dynamically, since monkey pose are quite tricky with bending their different fingers and stuff. So I'm just trying to get it to a very rough state that I can then export it into Blender. Even after I have posed the model, I was still able to work symmetrically using this awesome ZBrush tool, use posable symmetry. So when I retopologize this using the Z remesher, I use the mirror remesher, so it still retains the negative and positive x-axis topologies. So when you have that, then you can use the pose symmetry. So this is how it looks without pose symmetry. It doesn't match, but if we have the pose symmetry, which you can find here under transform, use pose symmetry, it's going to analyze it and use the pose symmetry, so I could still work non-destructively or work faster using symmetry. My next step was to go in and start adding all the details. So I added details even for unnecessary parts like under the feet, but I was enjoying the process and I couldn't stop myself. This was very fun, and once I'm done with this step, it's time to texture paint. But the texture in the process was quite easy. I used polypaint in ZBrush to quickly paint out just like landmark colors, like the overall skin color, some landmark areas that have different colors, like the face, the fingers, the hands, the feet, and some part of the tails, just to get a very base color. And once I'm happy, I export it as an image map into Blender, where I use this node I created. It's just combinations of different Voronoi textures and probably some noise, and then I just created a node out of it. It's something I've been trying to use recently, so I don't spend a lot of time painting variations of skins. So it's basically, you can input a base color, which is the landmark colors we created in ZBrush, and then it automatically gives you very nice complexity, which you can blend, like how intense it is. Like you can make the base color just be the primary one and reduce the intensity, and you have a lot of sliders to create different effects. You can tint it depending if it's like the hawk. So if you would like to see use this, you let me know in the comment, and then I'll probably put it out for you guys. For the hair, I used the new geometry nodes here to put all of this together. I'm going to be showing you the process of how I set this up. So let's go to a new scene and we'll add a new sphere. If you watch my previous videos, it's important you kind of check that the object has a nice UV map. And the way we create the four, we're going to be using this tool called Hair Brick. It makes your life easy when working with geometry nodes here, but it works like Blender. So let's say we go ahead and go to the curve, add empty hair. It's going to add it as you would do usually. And now we want to create something called the guide curves. Go ahead and so we can use Blender as you would naturally. Let me use the density and just add some hair. So this will be our guide curves, and we can go ahead and comb this. You just kind of groom it how it should look. Once you're happy, it's time to add styling. So you can choose to add children, or you can use interpolated, which I use for the most part. Then I'm going to turn off this viewport and enable viewport guide. So we can create new mask here and just draw out the areas we want the or to exist. So once you're happy, you can enable your viewport, and we have the children hair. So how do we add all the coily effect? Since I had like several hairstyles, I needed a way to manage the effect where I can just worry about creating it for one and applying it for the rest. So the way I did that was, let's bring out the reference. So if we look at this hair, it's pretty straight for the most part, but we have some noise going in. We have some noise going on there. So what I'm going to do is add new effect, collision. I'll set this object to be its collision. So you can apply collision, multiple collision after every effect, if any effect is making the hair go into the object. So we have this collision, and then I'm going to add, in the style, I'm going to add a simple noise just to break it down. From the reference image, the noise is not really so much, so we can reduce the factor. Let's say 0.2. We can increase the scale of the noise. If you want more noise, we can try simple noise. It's more it gives a different result, but it's more optimized compared to the main noise. So we can add more frequency, so it's more bendy. This is a bit too much. I'm going to reduce this. And then finally, we're going to add clump. Okay, so for some areas I added multiple clumps, so I could add another clump, and in this clump I will make it bigger like this, but I want to mask it out for certain areas, so I can enable this and then add new mask. I will invert it and we'll just paint. So certain areas can have larger clumps. And we can duplicate this and have smaller clumps inside the larger clumps. So that's how I was able to do it. So the way I managed it to kind of apply to several objects is, if you come here, we can click on create new preset, click OK. So even if we remove this, we can come to our preset and click on the one we created, and we should have everything loaded up for us. So that's how I was able to kind of apply multiple for different characters. Automatically you have this hair length, so you can always kind of play with how it's gonna look. So the tip is usually set to 0. If you want to add fray hair, you can come fray. And then we can see some are flying away, so we can add snap to mesh. The other fray hair are snapped onto the mesh. We'll reduce the intensity of that and have it. For the final scene setup, it was pretty straightforward. I had main character and I needed a ground platform where I just applied texture and displaced some part of it. For the background, I used an image which I then turned to, using the depth information, I was able to create a 3D geometry using iMesh, sorry. So we can load an image and generate new depth map. So to generate it where the cursor is placed, so just let it do that. So once it generates it, this is the final result. So it generates a depth map that we can then play with. So I didn't want to just use like a simple image since I was using depth of field, and I wanted it to have some depth even if it's just a simple background. If we look at the final image, you can notice some motion in the image. So I animated it to kind of move into place in a very fast space. Then I used the motion blur. With that motion blur, so set it to 0.2. Depending, it was based on what I needed. I didn't want it to be so intense. So with the motion blur and that, I also used the new light linking feature in Blender 4.0. Where this main light is only affecting the background to brighten it up. I didn't want to use an emit color, so I wanted a special light for it. And then I added another area light. Okay, I added this area light and set it to orange color, so almost like a feel like a bleeding. Because the background is greenish, I needed the color to be almost kind of greenish, orangey and greenish to make everything blend in together. I use HDRI in combination of a couple of area lights for the key light and the rim light to bring everything together. One other cool stuff I'll touch on is the saliva. So I just used meta balls to place geometry around. And then for the salivas are basically curves. I will show you the material for that. The material is pretty simple, just using a transparent and a glossy node with the roughness set very low, and the effect of the glossiness is set very low. Also, there's no Fresnel because I want it to look wet. And then I added another extra layer of transparent and use the light path node to remove any form of shadow, so everything looks like clean without shadows. It's visually more appealing that way, at least for this project. So that's how I added the saliva in the mouth. So there's a bread crumb if you see the image. You can go to my ArtStation to see the main image, but it's a bit disgusting if you go close. But yeah, it works. And I did some little compositing. I divided the main character layer and the background layer, so I can sharpen the background slightly and also increase the contrast slightly. I also did that for the character, but I didn't want the contrast for the character to be too much. And then I added film grain using noise and setting it to darken. To create this, you just need to create a new texture here, and then you can load the texture from add import texture, and you basically locate any texture in the scene, which is this one. And then everything came together with some lens distortion and some posterization. Yeah, so that's it. I hope this was quite informative. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you wish to see more from me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Bye bye for now, see you next time.